Wabarakatuh, and very good morning to everyone. Today we are going to continue with next sessions for training on introduction to hazard and risk assessment. I'm Daya Radia Obia, I'll be the trainer for the third session. Alright, before we proceed with our session today, please register yourself using this QR code, and please make sure that you fill in all the required information. Thank you.
Scan dulu kan? Scan stay. Scan lah.
Okay, done. Alright, I hope this, I request everyone to stand up. Just stand up. Alright, we are going to do a little bit of stretching since you have been sitting for such a long time. Alright, please raise your hand on left hand. Time it 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Alright, right hand 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Right leg stretch out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Left leg 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Thank you. Okay, have a seat. Okay, we're not doing twisting. You're going to have economic hazards. Alright. Okay, so I'm going to debrief a little bit based on our assessment number 2. Alright, I know that I didn't put it here, but I'm going to read it through. Okay, the first one. What is the first step in the risk assessment process? If you remember your answer, what is the first step in the risk assessment process? Identifying hazards. Yes. Okay, the next one. What does a risk matrix evaluate? What does a risk matrix evaluate? Probability and impact of hazards. Yes. Okay, what does frequency of incident tell? Where do you actually put that? Frequency of incident. Frequency of incident is the likelihood of that particular incident to occur. Yeah, so that is where you put in the risk calculations. Okay, number 3. Which of the following items, which is a substitution, personal protective equipment, administrative controls and elimination, okay, which are those is the most effective control measure according to the hierarchy of control? Elimination, right? But if you cannot eliminate, then you have to find the substitution which has less risk, which has a lower risk. When communicating risk in the workplace, which method is considered most effective? You have 4 options: warning signs only, safety meetings and training sessions, incident reports, using technical jargon. Which one? Communicating risk in the workplace. Is it warning sign?
Yeah.
Betul tak, Bagus? Is that the warning sign? it's the meeting. Yeah, safety meetings and training sessions are the most effective one because warning signs some people can just ignore it, right? But when you are having safety meetings, you are able to actually get feedbacks from your co-workers, find where are the loopholes, all right, what are the pitfalls, where we might overlook. So that's why safety meetings are very important. Why trainings are important? Training can refresh, okay? It can refresh our knowledge. It can update our information that we have about maybe new regulations, new policy, new requirement, and etc. Okay, the next one is why is regular monitoring and review critical in risk assessment? Why do you think is it critical? Is it to increase paperwork for documentation? Do you have enough work on that? Huh? How much work? How much documentation work that you have here? A lot. So we don't want to have that, right? Of course, it is not to increase paperwork for documentation. Is it to identify new hazards and ensure control measures remain effective? Is that why that we do risk monitoring? Yes. We want to make sure that we are updating our risk. Any risk that beyond our control, if possible, we can transfer, then we transfer. How do we transfer risk? If one of your colleagues is so toxic, you can transfer him somewhere else.
Yeah.
So that's how we transfer.
Who's that?
That is just a way, yeah?
I know that guy.
I'm not implying anyone, but that is how risk transfer is being done. It means that if let's say our organization cannot handle that particular risk, then we have to transfer it to another organizations that are able to manage the risk. So we are not actually being burdened by that particular risk. Yeah, it is actually the risk transfer is actually being employed anyway. For example, I don't drive. Yeah, even though I have license, I don't drive. But I transfer my risk to someone else who should have been done. Okay, so the risk of driving is not falls on me; it falls on the driver. But if I'm taking a Grab, then the risk of driving falls on the Grab driver, not me. Can you see how the risk transfer is being done? But why do we do that? We want to keep ourselves safe. Right? We want to make sure that okay, the safety limit is still there. The safety boundary is being kept. Alright? Okay. To reduce the number of safety meetings. Yeah, we want to reduce the number of meetings as much as possible. But if you are looking into the context of operational meetings where the purpose of the meeting is to give awareness, to refresh, to get updates on information or on emerging hazards, it is important, right? But for the purpose of these particular questions on risk monitoring, all right, it is just to identify new hazards. So who get all questions right? You can raise your hand. From assessment 2. Okay, 100%, eh?
Yes.
Okay, you can get award later. Ask from the thumbs up. Okay, let's move on to my session, which is on Malaysian legislations on workplace safety. The subject looks dry, but it is very important for each of us to know what is our role, how does this protect us, and how does it actually benefit us. Yeah. So I hope that at the end of this particular session, each one of us will be able to at least describe the key legislative requirements for workplace safety in Malaysia, not in America, in Malaysia, right? And we shall be able to evaluate our roles and responsibilities in ensuring safety at our workplace, at least to keep ourselves safe, and also the colleagues who are working around us safe. That is our main priority. Yeah. So how safe is safe? How safe is safe? Okay, someone said not dying is already safe. What about someone else? Tamizi? How safe is safe? How do you define you are working in a safe environment? No accident, alright? What about mask? How do you feel? How safe is safe? Happy to go home? Yes. Every day that we come here, we are happy to come to work. Unless someone, everyone is happy. But we are happy to come to work, and at the end of the day, we hope that we are happy to go home. We are still in one piece. Yeah, we are still in one piece. There is nothing broken. There is no head missing. There is no ear missing, and etc. Okay, so how safe is safe? The perception is different. From someone who is working in the office, the perception of safety is different from someone who is working in the lab. Someone who is working in chemical engineering lab has a different perception of safety compared to someone who is working in civil engineering lab, for example. For those in chemical engineering lab, okay, dealing with chemicals are hazards enough. For those in civil, even though they have turpentine, even though they have biolubricant there, they don't feel that those things actually has hazard, but it actually has hazards. All right. So the different perspective of safety among us actually cause a different level of safety awareness and also what we call as a safety tolerance. Yeah, some actually call it as a risk appetite. Risk appetite means how much risk that you are able to tolerate. Yeah, that is actually due to this particular perception of how safe is safe. And how do you ensure that you are safe? While working in the lab, how do you ensure that you are safe? Anyone?
Feel safe.
Huh? I'm still one. I'm still sane. I'm not insane. Alright, okay, there is safe. Okay. Alright? So you are still there. You are still able to do your work. Are you happy? Maybe not. Then there is something to do with what we call as a psychosocial hazards that had actually triggered that making you feel not safe and no longer happy working in your workplace. Alright. Do you know how you are being protected? Do you feel you are being protected or you are being used? No one cares. No one cares. Alright, okay. Actually, if you're looking from the legislations, from the safety policy, we are all protected. But we do not know what actually protecting us. Alright? So I hope today's sharing will give some impression to you on where actually our rights within the legislations. Okay, these are my overview of my presentations. I'll cover a little bit on safety legislations related to workplace safety. Alright, and then I'll be looking into the safety regulations. All of these were extracted from DOSH website. And then looking into roles and responsibility, compliance and best practices. And then I'm going to share 2 case studies based on actual incident data from DOSH. And last, we're going to have our Q&A session. Right? Okay. This might not look familiar to you, yeah? Okay. Because the reading of the Act is very long. Not many people like to read the Act. And I think from the perspective of the officers level, then the Act should be read by the engineer, by the decision makers. Okay, they are the one who should actually look into the context all of this. But for our purpose, we have to know, because we have to know our right. Okay, our main legislation for workplace safety it actually, this one here was extracted from DOSH website. Alright, there are acts where 4 acts were actually developed to cater for workplace safety, and one of those had been revoked. One of those had been revoked. The first one is OSHA 1994 Act 514, that was first developed in 1994, and it was amended in 2022. Okay, those amendments are very important. And the next one on X is the Petroleum Safety Act, which was developed in 1984. These are the ones that are very important for us to look at, which is the regulations. Most of our job scope here falls under these regulations. So under OSHA 1994, there are 13 regulations. Under Petroleum 1984, there is 1 regulations. Alright? And then we have an order. Under OSHA 1994, there are 4 orders related to workplace safety, but I'm not going in detail. And this is the one that has to be followed by us, which is the code of practice. They call it as ICOP, Industry Code of Practice. Under this code of practice, we have 4 major categories, which are industrial hygiene, occupational safety and health, transportations of materials, and also chemical management. Right? So all of us will be actually will have to follow this code of practice, whether we want it or not. So this is the one that we have to follow. And then we have guidelines, which are 10 categories, and then directive. Directive is rarely issued by DOSH. Okay, these are the 4 acts that I mentioned. This is the main act that actually being followed by us, which is OSHA 1994 Act 514. And in 2022, it was amended to cater very specific areas, which we will discuss, where it is called Occupational Safety and Health Act, OSHA, Amendment 2022. The act is called A1648, so they rename it to that number. Petroleum safety is not so much related to university premises. It's more on offshore applications. The Factory and Machinery Act had been revoked. It had been revoked because everything had been put back into that OSHA 2022. All right. What were covered in this OSHA 2022? The scope, you suddenly realize, right? University was suddenly included under OSHA. Before this, we were quite relaxed. DOSH does not touch university. Right? There are not many audits, especially on compressor, for example. There are not so much audit on safety. It is quite relaxed. But since 2022, all public premises, including universities, statutory bodies, are included under the scope of OSHA. That's why suddenly everyone tick you, okay, do safety audit, do high rank, do this and that. Right? This is the reason. It started in 2022 when they actually expanded the scope. They also include new definition where severity of injury, before severity of injury is not included when you are hospitalized for 24 hours. It is only if you are getting MC for a few days that it is considered a severe injury. But in new definition, if you are hospitalized for 24 hours because of occupational injury, occupational disease, then it is considered as severe injury. Right? So you have to know that because severe injury, it will have a different one. It will affect our risk rating. Okay. Second, it will also affect our likelihood of it to occur. If there are many of us having hospitalized for 24 hours due to occupational disease, then it will affect the calculation of the likelihood of the incident to occur. Right? It will increase it drastically. For example, if before severity of injury is considered if, let's say, you cannot work for 1 week. This is just an example. This is just an example. So that incident is considered 1 in 3,000 people. But if, let's say, now they consider 24 hours as the hospitalization, 24-hour hospitalization as the severity of injury, then if, let's say, 5 people being hospitalized for 24 hours, then the likelihood increase of 5 over 3,000. Right? So it will increase our risk probability. Okay, so that is the impact. That is the impact. And then it also enhances duties for employers. What kind of duties for employers that is included in here? First, they have to authorize competent person. For example, we have just now licensed person, right?
Yes.
So competent person, licensed person to provide trainings to other staff to make sure that all staff are aware of safety requirement, right? And that is one of the requirement. The second is the employer are also responsible for the safety of contractors and subcontractors. How do you deal with contractors before? Do you ask them about the permit to work? Do they have to fill in permit to work? Yes, your dad? Do they have to fill in permit to work? Who monitor their work?
Yes.
The applicant is from. Okay. So when this new regulation is in place, the person who is in charge is the safety officer. Right? The person in charge is the safety officer to make sure that the contractor and the subcontractor are working according to our safety guideline, right? And safety policy. Because we want to make sure that they are safe and we who are working around them are also safe. Okay. What are the employees' right? Okay, what is your right, do you think, with regards to this amendment? What is your right? Anyone? What is your right now? What is your right now? Okay, with this new amendment, if you are required to work in an unsafe premise or unsafe area, you can decline. You can decline. Alright, that is the right. And if they say the boss say, oh, you should not decline, then you can actually show them this amendment. Yeah? Because it is specifically written there that the workers or the employee can decline the request for work if they feel that it is unsafe. Okay, that is a clause. And there is no discriminations, right? There should not be any discriminations to any employee in with regards to this particular amendment. And more importantly, right, they also impose stricter penalties, where before the penalties is only 30,000, right? If there are fatalities, now it has been increased to 500,000. Before, the boss can just bring a briefcase, full of money to pay to the court. But now they have to, I don't know, because it is a 500,000. And the safety officer will also be we will also be penalized with regards to this if it is found that they did not perform their task, as per required. Okay. Any questions on this amendment? Yeah, it is slightly dry because it goes with the legislations. But it is still very important because it actually affected us directly. Okay. With regards to the regulations, okay, even though you are not dealing with chemicals directly, but you still have chemicals at your place, right? You still have chemicals at your place. So we have one regulations under chemical management, which is called as occupational safety and health, use and standard of exposure chemical hazardous to health, or we call it as use. It is use. So what are content under use, right? What are content under use? Under use regulations, the organization shall produce chemical health risk assessment. It means that they have to assess all possible risks that can be contributed by the chemicals that are present in their premise. Right? All. All. If you have biolubricant, if you have grease, if you have thinner, if you have acid, that has to be registered. Okay, nothing is put under the carpet. No, I know that some labs you feel that okay, ours is very minute, so we don't need to register. It is good to register. Make it a habit to register because you will never know any of those might actually pose danger or hazards to your staff. The second one is what we call as a chemical exposure monitoring. Okay, those who are handling chemicals or those who are actually exposed to dust, it is good to monitor how much exposure or the concentration of chemicals, substance that you are exposed to. Right? Please communicate this to your colleagues who are not around, who have chemicals in their lab, all right, to make sure that they monitor how much exposure do they have. So it has to be monitored because each of us, or I would say, it has been outlined that there is a permissible exposure limit that we can be exposed to specific chemicals. Alright? Some are only part per million. For example, if H2S, alright, 5 part per million, more than that you are dying. Okay? But H2S is at a very low concentration. It is so pungent, right? It's so pungent. It's just like rotten air. Higher than that, it has no smell, and that is where the danger zone is, right? So that's why it's very important. Look into chemical register that you have. Identify personnel who are exposed to those chemicals. Calculate what is their exposure limit. How long do they stay in the lab? For example, I think in electrical engineering, we have clean room. I know clean room has lots of chemical as well. In clean room, you do etching, correct? Do we have electrical people here? No. Yes. You do etching, right?
For current, not yet.
For current, not yet. Yes. So when you do etching, you are using lots of acids. Okay? So when you are using lots of acids, then what happens? There are acid fumes if the ventilation is not calculated correctly. Right? If it is not calculated correctly, then the person who are working in the lab, they are all exposed to that particular food. How long do they stay there? They might stay there for 8 hours. So 8 hours exposed to 100 ppm. That can be very dangerous to them because it can lead to chronic disease later. Okay, so please convey this message to our friends, right? And then we have to also identify and register the chemical hazardous to health. Alright, we have benzene, we have toluene, we have many carcinogenic material for daily use, for our lab use. So please monitor those. Yeah, please monitor those because during audit they are going to request for this particular list. If we don't put them in the proper context, then we are actually putting our staff at risk because we don't know what is their conditions. Usually, these chemicals, their effects are very latent. Yeah, their effects are very latent. Only after they resign, only after they retire, that the impact actually emerging. All right. Okay. This is what we call a class. Yeah, I call under class, where it is actually classification, labeling, and safety data sheet of hazardous chemicals regulations. We call this as a class regulations. So whenever that we buy chemicals from supplier, all right, whatever chemicals that you receive, it should be completely labeled as this. This is the globally accepted labeling approach because this is where the risk is being communicated. Yeah. So, for example, this is your product name. This is a signal word, danger. All right, that is the main signal word. And then we have a hazard statement. It says toxic if ingested. So that should appear. And then we have precautionary statement. For example, keep out of children. Yeah, that is a precautionary statement. And next is a supplier information. Last is the GHS pictogram. Alright? So if let's say you receive a bottle, yeah, without any of this or lacking any of this symbol, so you're not sure where what is the status of that particular sample or what is the status of that particular chemical. Yeah, because we don't know what are the danger, we don't know what are the possible hazardous statement. So please make sure that whenever that we receive from supplier, these are actually completed. And another information that is also important and is always missed out is the safety data sheet of the chemical. Alright? So on the bottle, it should have 6 information. For the safety data sheet, there should be 16 information that should be present. Yeah? 16 information. So you can refer to GHS. What are those 16 information that should be made or communicated through SDS. Yeah. Okay. For those who are actually handle biological materials, this regulation is not under DOSH. It is actually under Ministry of Health. Yeah, it is under Ministry of Health where we are looking into the biosecurity policy. Alright, the biosecurity policy and the engineering design is by looking into the different contexts of the biosafety level. So I don't actually indulge much on that because it has a different regulations criteria. Okay, these are also important where we are looking into the context of safety regulations for air quality. We are working with dust. We are working with metal dust, those who are actually doing welding, doing grinding. We also have chemical fumes. So all of those are actually affecting our air quality. And when you are looking into the context of what are the regulations related, then this 5 document has to be read together. Right? This 5 document, it has to be read together. You cannot only read DOSH document or you cannot read only DOE document. Because document by DOSH are looking into the context of indoor air, whereas document by DOE is looking into the emission. So when we have ventilation, when we have fume hood, we are going to ventilate them out. So if we ventilate them out, if we don't properly manage them, then we are going to have all those corrosion on our roof. Yeah, it means that there are corroded vapor or corroded fumes that we had discussed, yeah, to the environment. So this has to be read together. Okay, what are those ICOP on IAQ? Yeah. So the first one is, of course, it is to protect us, to make sure that we are breathing the clean air, right? So it is actually applicable to all buildings, whether school, public, library, labs, etc. And it is actually focusing on LED system, which is on ventilation, right, for general building, and also fume hood, yeah, for laboratories. And the coverage is not limited to chemicals, fumes, but it also cover others. For example, biological hazards, yeah, mold, yeast, virus, and etc. And it also cover what we call as a sick building and building-related illnesses. What does a sick building mean? Anyone? When you go to the office, you feel sick. There is already a sick building disorder. When you come in here for a meeting, you feel sick. Okay, there's a sick building. Why? You feel so congested. Why do you feel congested? It can be because the air in here is not properly ventilated. Okay, that's what it means by sick building. You feel dizziness. You feel sort of like you want to vomit whenever that you enter the room. Okay, so all of this is actually being catered for under ICOP. Yeah, under ICOP. And under EQA, clean air is looking into the context of emission. What is the emission value that we actually emit out of our fume hood? How much? And is our fume hood, is it designed correctly? Is the ventilation calculated correctly? Right? To ensure that the clean air are being circulated. Okay, so what are your roles? What are your responsibilities? What is the responsibility of our employers? All right, our employers, this is what they have to make sure. All right, they have to make sure that we have a safe working environment. Do you feel that is what we have now? It's for you to answer. Okay, slowly and silently. Okay, and do they provide safety training? How frequent do you attend safety training? Is the safety training, is it specific to your job scope?
Yes.
Is it, or is it very general? You have to know. You can request a training that is specific to your job scope so that you can do it more effectively. You can mitigate the safety much better. And do they conduct regular risk assessment, or is it during audit? Audit is coming, then we are going to do risk assessment. How frequent do they do the risk assessment? Right? So is risk assessment a schedule or a periodic exercise, or is it a one-off when required? One-off when required. We are more proactive rather than we are being generative, right? And as an employee, what is our task? All right, we have safety procedures, we have safety guidelines. Do we follow? Okay, if we follow, that's good. Yeah, if we follow, that's good. Is there any hazards that we don't report? We say, let's just close your eyes, right? That's common. Okay, but because we don't know, one day we might be the one who become the victim of that hazards. Yeah. So always report hazards and incidents. And if there are safety training, yeah, thank you to you guys. Okay, there are safety training, please participate. Yeah, because it will actually update our knowledge. All right, let's look at this case study. Yeah, you can read first this case study. What happened? This is the actual case study that happened in industry.
SOP.
So, under DOSH legislation, this incident was investigated under Section 15, yeah, OSHA 1994 Act 514. This case happens in Selangor. It happens in Selangor, okay, in 2007. Okay, what do you think can go wrong? What actually happening? What actually happening there? How can that machine operator die?
It's not switch off the machine.
They don't switch off the machine. Alright. They don't switch off the machine. Then if let's say someone else switch it off, it is possible as well. Right? That is an act of sabotage. If they don't switch off the machine, what does it tell? There is a SOP loophole. Correct? SOP loophole in during what? What is this particular activity? This is maintenance. Alright? This is a maintenance activity. So, first, there is no or lack of proper SOP where when maintenance is done, the machine should be shut off. Alright. Are you familiar with Lotto? Not Lotto, the 4 digit. Okay? Is lock out and tag out. Alright? That is very common in industry. It means that whenever maintenance is to be done, it has to be ensured that the unit is closed. Yeah? It's locked for operation. And it has to be tagged. Tag means that under maintenance. Right? That's what it means by Lotto. Lock out and tag out. Is it being implemented in our daily activity? Do you have it? Lock out, tag out. Well done is with working with machine. First time, alright, okay. But I think it's been done. It's just maybe the name. Means that you have to lock the machine, so there is no one that have access to it to switch it on, and it has to be tagged, saying that it is under maintenance. Right? And what else? What are the other possible things that go wrong in this particular exercise? Yes, the person was working alone. There is no supervision until the hand is cut. Yeah? Then people actually realize. So whenever there is a maintenance work involving rotary equipment, rotating machine, heavy machine, it should be a buddy system. At least your supervisor is there to make sure that, alright, you are working safely. If let's say contractor is the person who is actually doing the maintenance, then their supervisor should be there, our person should be there as well to monitor the whole process to make sure that safety is being followed. Why? As I mentioned, because of that amendment, if something happened to the contractor, we will be accounted for. So the first person who will be accounted for is the person who handled the lab. You will be looked after by our OSH office if there is an incident on contractor at your lab. So be careful on this, right? Okay, what should be done? Okay, what should be done? If you are in the place, yeah, so you are now the supervisor. So what should you do? What do you think is your proposed action to your boss? Okay, because of this, what should we do? What is our next control measure? Yeah, we should train. We should have engineering control to this particular equipment because it is an equipment that can kill if it is wrongly used. So you can have a barricade during maintenance, for example. Yeah, that is an engineering control. Right, that is an example. Okay, let's look at the second case. Okay, the second case is on workers who are actually working in a confined space, yeah, because they are sewage workers, so they went into the STP, yeah, and at the time of the incident, the three victims were pumping out water and cleaning pipes in the manhole. While in the manhole, they experienced breathing difficulties due to inhaling gas present in the confined space. So all three victims died at the scene. Why do they die? What can go wrong? What can go wrong? What kind of gas do we have in STP? Methane, H2S. All right. So you are lack of oxygen. So when you are lack of oxygen, then it is easy to die. And what is wrong there? Three of them went in at once. There is no ones to be guarding outside. That's why the three of them died. Similar case in one of the facility, also on confined space. The system, the work had been done actually, and they already tendered their maintenance completion. But then someone else required them to do minor job, so they went in. Whilst their maintenance work had actually been completed, and operation had been started, and that person was stuck. Another person who was actually guarding outside tried to help, and he also killed. So this is what the importance of having proper SOP. Yeah, and for this particular case here, this particular company was also investigated under OSHA 1994. All right, SOP gone wrong, supervision gone wrong. There is no control. There is no sensor, H2S sensor or CH4 sensor being attached to the worker to show the concentration of those gases where they might actually cause danger. Okay? Alright. So what are the key takeaways? Yeah? What are the key takeaways for this particular module that we have been looking at? Ensure that you and your colleagues, yeah, are working in a safe workplace and you work safely. Okay. Any questions? Any questions on these legislations? Yeah, it's very, very dry. I know, I understood. You don't need to be a lawyer to understand, but it's good to know. All right, because that is your right. Okay, that's the reason that the presentations was actually focused on the legislations. Okay, if you don't have questions, I have questions there. When does the OSHA 1994 Act 514 amended, and what is it renamed to? When is it amended? 2022. What is the new act? What is the new act? It's A1648. Yeah? A1648. What are the major changes that were included in the amendment? What are the major changes that were included in the amendment? The scope, which covered all the public institutions, statutory bodies. What else? The definitions to cover severity of injury. So if let's say you are hospitalized after getting burned, yeah, due to exposure to electric arc, for example, or high voltage, and you are hospitalized 24 hours, you are considered to have a severe injury. Okay? What else? Huh? Oh, the fine, the penalties. The penalties increased to 500k. Tini only think about the cost that has been incurred by her boss. Okay. And all of this coverage or safety guideline or safety policy is actually overseen by the director of DOSH. Yeah? It actually be overseen by director of DOSH. How does the amendment affect you in your workplace? How do you think? Do you feel it affected? You feel you are being affected by this?
Yes.
Not so much, a little bit. Or how are you aware of this particular um, act before? Huh? You don't know that it exists. Yes, it is exists. You know about, okay, I have to check the fuel mood today. Okay, for IH is coming. Yeah, you know about that. But there are some underlying regulations that actually push it towards that, right? It's not only about fume hood per se, but it is more on the exposure of the people in the lab to hazardous vapor, to hazardous fume, to metal dust, yeah, to small particle dust. So those are the things that actually affected why IH had been there. But of course, the cost of maintaining our fume hood so that it meet the current guidelines is very expensive. Yeah, but we have to make a buy-in. Yeah, I think this is common. This is common even in oil and gas industries where they have to make buy-in. We have to say that okay, safety is expensive. Then try accident. Okay, try accident. One accident had cost us about $2 million. But if we are actually looking into the safety perspective, we might only have to pay 500K to mitigate the hazards. Right? But to pay the fine, we have to go with 2 million. That is a real case. That is a real case. So safety is expensive, then try accident. How do we make a buy-in? We have to properly put it into a strong paper. Alright? One person, as we mentioned in our group just now, we have to pay on our own. Yeah, we have to pay on our own to make sure that okay, safety is in place then. Yeah, I mentioned to him, okay, take it as ibadah. But one person doing it won't cover the whole vicinity. You can only cover your part, but there are also hazards around you that can still actually affected or impacted you. Alright, those are the things that we have to remember, and that's why we have to make a buy-in. Buy-in means as a group we have to make it a strong proposal. Okay, this is the safety measures that we have to take into account. These are safety precautions that we have to follow. These are all the impacts. If we don't follow, this will be the impact. Okay, because it actually affects everyone, not only us. And at the end, it will also affect the reputations of our premises. Okay. All right. So to conclude today's presentation, okay, I hope that you know by now that actually you are protected. The legislations are outlined there not to rigid your work activity, not to confine your creativity, but it is actually to protect you so that you are actually working in a safe environment. And as an employer, we always remind them that, all right, you should create a safe workplace for your staff. Yeah, that is the responsibility. If the responsibility is not done now, it might be actually us in the hereafter. Yeah. So those are the responsibility, and we, if you are the boss, then you have to know, okay, the safety responsibility of my co-workers are on me. Okay, they are on me. And of course, to the workers, all right, you have to know, you have to comply to the work that is being done, to the people around you, who you are working with, okay, the students who you are responsible to. So you have to make sure that they are safe, yeah, that they are safe. Okay, I'm going to show you some of the references, yeah, that I've been using, and I have been looking through one by one to make sure that whatever that I presented is sufficient, yeah, just to give some awareness on the importance of these legislations. All right, so we have the DOSH Act, and then we also have a Petroleum Act. Those who are working with biological material, especially the living organism, the genetically modified organism, the biological organism. So you should also refer to the Ministry of Health guideline under biosecurity policy. Yeah, they are actually providing some engineering design on the design of biosafety level labs of different level. Yeah, there are 4 levels of biosafety that have been recommended by this biosecurity policy. Okay, and before we end today's session, I'm going to pass around assessment tree. Okay, this assessment tree will be mainly on the legislation. Okay. Right. All right. This assessment here is mainly on legislations, and if you are referring to those questions that I'm actually putting in there, okay, so you will be looking into the context of various content that I refer to, which is on OSHA, which is on IAQ, and also on the ICOP. Yeah. So if we are actually refreshing just now, there are 5 documents that you have to read together, yeah, to understand the IAQ, the requirement for indoor air quality, where you are reading together the DOSH document and also the OE document. And then look into the amendment, which is OSHA 1994, and the new amendment, which is OSHA 2022. Okay? And the last part there is on what are the significant changes. So we highlighted this many times just now. What are the changes, or what are the amendments that have been done and highlighted based on the requirement that was found to be not covered by OSHA 1994. If you have questions prior to completing that, please raise your hand. Any specific questions? If let's say, yeah? Any specific questions that you want to ask on? Yes? Okay. Any questions? All right. If there is no questions, then I think I will just end today's presentation. Okay, thank you so much everyone for your kind attention. Okay, that will be clap for everyone. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And we are going to meet again at 2:30. Please wait for a while. We are having lunch. Yeah? Sit down.